are live. Here we go. Peace and blessings, soul family, back again. Yes, back again with another. And I know I say it every time. I say it every time, but I mean it. I mean it every single time. We got a special guest today. She is absolutely fantastic. Before I get into the introduction, just want to set up what we'll talk about today. We're talking about wellness. We're going to talk about well-being. We're going to talk about natural, natural ways of self-care,
Mm.
of taking care of ourselves. Is so important. And I know you got to excuse me. I got a little bit of a sore throat, little hoarse because I was out coaching today. So I need to get some self-care for my voice. But but I'm so blessed and blessed for this opportunity to talk to our sister Danny. If you are not familiar with her, she is a licensed social worker, a certified aromatherapist. She is a lifestyle coach and a published author. She humbly dubs herself the natural ally D because she's an ally in our world of building true wellness with simplicity. You could catch her on YouTube at Natural Ally D. And she has a wonderful personal mantra that I absolutely love that says, let us continue to learn, grow, share together naturally. My sister Danny, peace and blessings to you. Thank you so much for joining this conversation today.
Oh, thank you for having me. All
Uh,
right, Brother Andre. Yes, thank you. Happy Saturday to everyone. As you say, peace and blessings. Yeah.
abs- Absolutely, absolutely. I appreciate you so much. What prompted this conversation for me to reach out to you was I remember one day was actually I was in the house and I kept smelling these aromas, these perfumes from my daughter. Now my daughter, she's hitting that preteen age. And so I see she likes to go out to stores, like Sephora and then also like cosmetic stores. And she's getting interested in different types of beauty products.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm smelling all this stuff, and I'm like, this can't be all good. Like there's some, there's some things that are making me my eyes water, or having just different feelings. I'm like,
Hmm.
let's evaluate this. Let's figure out what's going on because I know she's young and she's getting exposed to all these different toxins, but also influence, right? Whether being online or social media and different products that she watches other influencers use. And so I was like, let me reach out to somebody in my network and see what they can educate me on so I can help her out in terms of having a more holistic or more a natural approach. Just maybe say perhaps we don't go to perhaps we try an essential oil or perhaps we try a different way. So
Hmm.
I'm appreciative of you for being here to help educate me and hopefully the audience as well
Uh-huh.
on more natural ways of tapping into that beauty that we all have. So thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. Again, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I guess a good way to get started is, what prompted you or how did you begin your journey in terms of becoming an aromatherapist, and then also I guess the benefits of aromatherapy that it's had on you.
Oh, wow. How far you want me to go back? How much time you got?
Hey, let's go. We here for it. We here for it.
And so, good question. So, my health journey started, and I've told this story many times, actually, when I was younger,
Hmm.
right? Because growing up, I had health challenges with asthma and eczema, okay,
Okay.
which I was in and out of ER, emergency room, with changes of the season, something I ate, you
Hmm.
know, it was, and back then, my parents wasn't necessarily into natural health and modalities. They did the best they could, take you to the doctor. And if you go to a dermatologist, they give you cream and tell you have a nice day.
Yep.
Then if you have asthma, those of you who know, they give you a nebulizer. That stuff have you
Hmm.
all jumpy and nervous and carrying on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then they send you home and you go home with a little inhaler. And
Hmm.
so fast forward, I went away to school, had an episode, has an asthmatic episode, and a nurse there told me, you need to get an allergy test.
Hmm.
Never
Okay.
been told that in my life.
Okay.
Got an allergy test where they prick your back, and if you get if you have allergic reaction, you get this raised bump. So
Yeah.
had the test and found out I was allergic to a number of foods.
Okay.
Then, from that, it prompted me to start going on this natural health journey. Did it happen right away? Absolutely not. I was in college, a poor college student. You just ate what you could, right?
Yeah, right, right.
So, fast forward some more, really started paying attention to what I eat and how I eat. And because I got tired, I just simply got
Yeah.
tired. And I was in school, because anybody who knows me, I'm a professional student. I
Lifelong
love,
learner. That's a beautiful thing.
yes. Ran into a professor. I was having an issue, and I ran into a professor who introduced me to Dr. Wallet,
Okay.
who's a naturopathic doctor as well as a medical doctor. And from his platform, I was introduced to a certified aromatherapist and natural herbalist, or master
Oh,
herbalist.
okay.
She was starting a school. Well, actually, she came to the Midwest even before I knew she was starting a school. And you know how you're on Facebook, you see stuff, and I saw her coming. I was like, oh, she's gonna be here in Michigan. So I had to
Right.
make it my business
That's
to
right.
get to her. You know how
Yeah,
something prompts you and says, you need to be there.
that's right. It's
I
like the
wasn't,
intuition.
yes. I tell you, I was not feeling my best. I was
Mm,
not. But honey, I made a plan. I was
yeah,
like, okay, if this happens, I'm just gonna get on the side of the road, because I was driving. It was like a 2 hour away in this little small town, little
yeah.
country farm town. I said, if this happened, I'm gonna do this. If that happened, I'm gonna do that. But I'm getting there. Got there, went there, and learned that I didn't know nothing about aromatherapy or essential oils. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I thought aromatherapy was like the plug-ins you get at the grocery store, and
The
the
glitch.
aerosol
Yeah, yeah, right. The wall plugins. Yeah, for sure.
and the aerosol spray. That's
Yeah,
all I knew about aromatherapy.
correct, correct.
After the weekend retreat, she was having a school. I said, sign me up. Didn't know how I was
Yeah.
going to pay for it, but I just was like, I need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am today. I even started sharing about aromatherapy before I even graduated. I was like,
Wow,
hey, y'all, here you go some info. I'm good for sharing, right?
that's beautiful.
And started sharing with my faith family, graduated, and here I am today. And jumped out here on social media, sharing on YouTube about 2 years
Yeah.
ago.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the thing. So that's how my journey led me to aromatherapy and what I enjoy doing, which is marrying social work, because I've been a social worker for 20 plus years now.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
And just
I love.
go ahead.
No, go. No, no. Go ahead. I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off.
And I was going to say, sharing my two passions, which I call social work, sharing wisdom, right?
Yes,
And most
indeed.
recently found out another term that I love now is called heart
Heart.
work.
Yes, that's what I was actually going to just say. That's beautiful. I love that heart work.
Heart
Yes.
work. So sharing my heart work, or social work, or sharing wisdom, and marrying aromatherapy, and showing up for my community as best that I can, with the knowledge that I have from my health journey,
Hmm.
um, to being an aromatherapist.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for doing the work. As we always say, heal people, right? And when
Mm,
you stumble across something that is transformative and impactful in your life, I
yeah.
always liken it to going to a good restaurant, right? You're
Uh-huh.
gonna tell somebody.
Right. Right.
You're gonna be
Absolutely.
you're gonna tell somebody that, hey, listen, this worked for me. you know, try it out. Maybe it's gonna, work for you, or, just perhaps, right? That the way you present it. And I love how you said you just didn't, jump right into it. It took time. It was the incremental adoption of that different type of lifestyle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
When I'm just side note, I don't know if we're going to talk about this, but
Hmm.
when I first became a vegetarian, for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
that's been 22 years now.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah.
But when I first started, Brother Andre, my family looked at me like I grew another head.
You ain't alone. Mine too. Mine
It
too.
was like, you and I put a little
Yeah.
comical video on my channel. And
Hmm.
my family was like, "You gonna do what now?
Yeah. Yeah. That part.
You gonna do
That
what?"
part.
And, and I think in the beginning they didn't believe me until I
Yeah.
just started backing away.
Yeah.
And when they realized I was serious, and now to this day, they like, that's
Hmm.
her, so
Yeah,
do anything or have any functions, they know it got to be something I got to be able to eat, or I'm bringing, or I ain't coming.
that's right. That's it. That's it. It's hilarious how it changed too. Because I remember when I first started, eating pretty much a plant based diet.
Yeah.
My dad was like, "You ain't gonna eat no more chicken." like what's going on? And so the approach went from I used to always leave his house with a plate to me showing up to his house with a plate, with my own plate of food, just to make sure, because food is so personal, right? And it's so
Yes.
tied into our culture and into our community and our communions, our gatherings and all of that. And I didn't want to feel excluded from it, but I just knew that it wasn't for me anymore. I had to make the change. And it was funny to see my family's reaction over time. No, that's hilarious. I can relate.
Yeah. Yes. It felt a little lonely because nobody around me was doing the thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if I'm honest, few and far people that I associate with are my
Yeah.
immediate group. But
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. But I knew that was the best choice for me. Everybody
Exactly.
has to do things that are best for them. But looking back, to be honest, I think my past health challenges helped me to save my life.
Mm,
But for me paying attention to them, I would have just kept on eating the way I wanted to eat, right?
that's right.
Eating just not caring or not being conscious
Yeah,
that, okay, you you're hurting yourself.
that's right.
You're
That's
hurting
right.
yourself. So yeah, I don't have
Mm,
any regrets for what I went through because I'm thankful for what I'm doing today, and it makes to me a better person and be able to show up and do what I do.
that's it. That's it. That's it. It's that old school, turn your mess into your message, right?
All
And
right, or
because
turn
you
your
want,
huh?
now go
Turn
ahead.
your
Let me hear that.
or turn. I'm gonna say turn your scars into stars. I've heard that.
Ooh, I like that too. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Grateful for experiencing the challenge and grateful for coming through the other side because you're able to meet people exactly where they are because you've been there and
Mm,
really have a direct impact on their lives. And nothing, I mean, oftentimes experience is the best teacher, right? That experiential learning is different. You
it
don't
is.
have to experience everything, but when you go through that part and come through the other side, you're such a more powerful and polished example
Yeah.
of how to get through.
I would agree, and you can relate to the people that you're meeting where they're at. It's just the same. Like I
Hmm.
mentioned to you, that I'm a lifestyle coach in the
Yeah.
community. So that helpful having me gone through the program, knowing what they go through,
Hmm.
um, helps me to relate to them and say, yeah, yes, you can. You can do it. Will it always be easy? No.
Hmm.
You may fall off the wagon, yeah, but
Hmm.
but you can get back up
That's right. You can
and
get
do
back up
something.
again.
Yes, and do something different and make that change that you want to see. And you mentioned about food. Food is social,
Yeah.
right? And understanding sometimes we can't give up the foods because it's like, well, the people around me won't like me, or they will think I'm acting funny. Our community,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, believe that. Believe that. They be like, wait, time out. You're not eating not even mac and cheese.
Like, no, yard bird, no nothing.
Yeah, right?
And they might think you might be acting funny, or it's just like, no, I'm trying to preserve me as best I can. Nothing
That's right.
against you,
That's right.
you know. And you can't fault anybody for wanting to do the best you can,
That's
right?
right. That's
Without
right.
having to resort to taking medication and all the things. I'm not to say
Hmm.
not knocking anybody who does, who have to, but if you have a choice,
Yeah.
if you have a choice,
That's right.
and it's something preventable, my thought would be, I ain't trying to run nobody's pharmacist every month, get no
Nah.
prescriptions for something I control putting in my mouth.
That's right. That's right. That's right. It's so funny. I correlate the decision to change my diet with the decision to become more aware and more self-loving, right?
Mm,
Because I was eating foods that, I just, historically I always ate. I love, red meat. I would eat, get a nice steak or hamburger. But I felt over time it started to upset my stomach. I felt really heavy and my energy was off. And so I decided to make that change. But that was around the same time that I really dove deep into my meditation practice as well. And so saying, hey, you know what? Meditation is a form of self-love, and then just really, nurturing that inner space. And so choosing, foods that allowed me to feel good, right,
Yeah,
and vibrate higher was another step in that journey as well. So, you know,
yeah. As
yeah,
I
part of
say,
the process.
it
Mhm.
is. As I say, thinking about eating, is this going to help me or hurt me?
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
And I would be remiss as a social worker if I did not say I understand that in some areas and some situations there's food insecurity.
Yes, food
Okay.
deserts. Hmm.
I get that. I totally get that. But if you can, or as best you can,
Correct.
make that choice, then yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I had a podcast episode with a gentleman, Roger Gabriel. He's the chief meditation officer for Deepak Chopra's
Mhm,
organization. Oh, and one of the things that he was talking about was there was a gentleman that informed him that whenever he had to make a tough decision, he
mhm,
would put his hand on his stomach and just imagine himself eating it, right?
mhm.
Digesting each decision. And so I started doing that when it came to food choices as well, right? So for me, if I just trying to figure out exactly intuitively what do I want to eat and how is that going to nourish me and how is that going to feel, just as a means of, just really being in connection with myself and what my body really wants and needs in order to, to feel good. So food is so it's important to have that education and that understanding behind the choices that we're making. And
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And your food, I mean, your body will talk to you. It'll tell
yeah,
you, I don't want that.
yeah, yeah. Facts. Y- Facts.
You have a few episodes, your body said, okay, I done told you I don't want that. Or
Hmm.
it might used to be good. Maybe you used to be able to partake of whatever it is. But
Hmm.
as you mature, perhaps sometimes it might tell you, put it down.
Yeah.
You've had enough.
Hmm.
I'm talking
It's
to
funny.
myself.
Say here. I go through that as well, man. Sometimes the body will say one thing, but the emotions will try to override it. Right. So the emotional state could be off. And so I know that my body wouldn't want some ice cream. But my emotional state would be like, yeah, you know what? That Ben and Jerry's do look a little good. Right. So not adhering to that. So really just being aware of where I am, where am I in this moment? Like what thoughts are kind of going through me?
Right.
And sometimes, hey, you know what? Sometimes I do. I'm like, yeah, let me get a little of that Ben and Jerry's. That's okay. They got the vegan type. No judgment. No judgment.
Absolutely.
We here
Absolutely.
to live.
Yeah.
We here
Yeah.
to live.
So we ain't telling you can't have fun and enjoy something,
Oh no, enjoy life. Enjoy life.
but
So
having the
yeah.
best quality of life is what we suggest.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. So let's go back to the aromatherapy. I know um, you talked about it before that in terms of your journey, thinking that aromatherapy was Glade. I was on like the aerosol cans and the plugins and all that other stuff. I was under the same impression. So it leads me to ask the question: what are some of the misconceptions about aromatherapy? Most common misconceptions about aromatherapy that people have.
Mm, that all essential oils may be created equal. As long as you like the
Mm.
smell, it's okay.
Oh, see, that's a big one because if I like the smell, I rock with it. So I don't know that. I'm learning today.
You know,
So,
no, they are not. I mean, essential oils have many therapeutic properties, and I touch on this. One of the reasons why I created my master class
mhm,
is that you need to know at the basic level what
okay,
therapeutic properties that essential oil has before you picking it up.
okay, hmm,
You can't
hmm,
just go by smell.
okay,
um, and say, "Oh, I like that," and pull something off the shelf because that essential oil might not be for you, and it might be that you might not can use it. Particularly, for example, if you're on medications, certain medications
okay.
have counter. Uh, what
Like
am I trying to
contraindications.
Thank you.
Hmm, hmm.
Um, with you and your medication, you might be increasing something, or you might be decreasing something, and it could be off. So you need to know. And that being said, you need to know the safety notes, or
Mm.
what is the safety concerns or warnings for a
Oh.
particular essential oil. So that's a misconception that all essential oils are created equal. No,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just because I like the
Mm-hmm.
smell, you should be able to pick it up and
Yeah.
use it. And that's another one, that you can use all essential oils the same way.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's not true as well. There's some essential oils that are best used in certain modalities than others,
Okay.
just because of what we call the ingredients or constituents in essential oils. Some essential oils have constituents in them that are hot,
Mm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't necessarily use them. Say, for instance, you want to take a bath with an essential oil. Well, if you take a bath with that hot oil and you're putting your bum down in that hot oil,
You're
know,
gonna find out.
yes, we know from science class, oil and water don't mix. So
Mm-hmm.
aromatherapy, if that essential oil rises to the top,
Mm-hmm. You're gonna mess around and find out.
exactly, your body be like, no, that wasn't a good choice. So, but yeah, so that's just a couple of misconceptions, or I don't know if you want to call this a misconception or myth or what have you. But when I first started, Dre, I was it was shared with me that we are not into essential oils
Oh. Mm. Culturally.
culturally.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I
Okay.
know this is off a little bit off on a tangent, but I
No,
just
no, it's
wanted
good.
to. I said, "Wow, really? Okay."
Mm-hmm.
And so it got me to thinking. I said, "Okay, I'm gonna do a video about this," because that was my answer. I didn't respond to the person, but that was my elder.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sat back and pondered on it, and I thought, okay, but what about all the essential oils for us being people of faith? Okay,
Yeah.
what about all the essential oils mentioned in the
The
Bible or
Bible.
faith text for wherever you're reading, right?
Yeah. Frankincense and myrrh, right? Like that was we grew up with that understanding that that's the gifts that were given to the three wise men, right?
Exactly. And then you sit back and think about our medicines. Our medicines had to come from somewhere.
Correct.
They started with plant life. I mean, we just didn't grab them out the air.
Right. Right.
So and that being said, I had a calendar, Arbor Day calendar,
Okay.
and one of the months in the Arbor Day calendar had a little. They always telling you little facts and stuff in there,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the months said 1% of the rainforest. Don't quote me exactly, but it was saying 1% of the only 1% of the rainforest has been tapped for its medicinal uses or
One
potential. Only
1%.
1%. Yes.
Wow.
And I want to
Wow.
say it named a particular disease, but I don't want to misspeak. But I'm just saying that to say, if they're referring to something as the rainforest
Right.
has been tapped for medicine, then where do you think that perhaps our medicines come from? Now, true enough,
Mm-hmm.
they be mixing up some stuff in the lab. We know that.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. They cooking up, they chefing up in the lab for sure.
But they had to start with something. Is all
They
I'm
did.
saying. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, wow. Mm, I'm learning today. I'm learning today because I'm going back to it. I'm like, wow, I would easily go to the store and I'd go to the essential oil section and I would just start, if it looked good and I'd be like, oh, okay, lavender, or, I started, I was telling you before, I think it's Lang Lang. I like the way it smelled. I really didn't know. Someone used it on me during a massage. So I just kind of adopted it, but never even considering that maybe that isn't the best for me at this time, right? Just never really doing the research. So as with anything, it's important to do the research and make sure that, there's, no harmful side effects or no contraindications to your point. So thank you for that. But it brings up the question to me then, what makes an oil an essential oil? Like what is that component of it? Because I that just that came to mind. Like why is it an essential oil? What does that mean?
Good
That may be a dumb
question.
question.
So, no, so just from my perspective, I don't know if you're looking for the technical definition, but and a plant essential oils come from plant life, right?
Hmm.
Be it the leaves, the bark, the needle, the trunk of a tree, whatever. And it's for layman's term broken down into a component that can be used in a manner such as an essential oil. Um, how do they may perhaps determine which plant life can be made into an essential oil? I'm not
Hmm.
100% sure, but I'm so glad they have them
That's right. That's right.
because they have truly been beneficial for me. You know, talking about, like I mentioned, about my past health challenges, like for asthma, for example. And one
Hmm.
of my go-to essential oils is fir balsam. It helps with the breathing and the respiratory system.
Okay.
I'm not reaching for inhaler,
Yeah.
like I was before, but that was by research and design, knowing what that essential oil is designed for and can I use it,
Hmm. Hmm.
So, but yeah, so I hope I answered your question as best as I could about that. But um, essential oils are the essence of plant life, and it's in its rawest form, broken down so we can use it for therapeutic purposes.
Hmm. Hmm. And I put your website up here, and then on your website you show 5 things that you consider before using essential oils. So I want to make sure people, folks tuning in, have this as a reference to understand exactly. Hey, look, consider these things before you just pull something off the shelf, or just do a little bit of research. And we talked about it before. Our skin is our biggest organ, right? And so before we apply something to it, we want to make sure that we're understanding
Yeah.
how it's going to impact us.
Actually, and what you were scrolling across the screen is my free master class that I have.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and so you might have caught the first part of one part and the other half of the
Uh,
other part. And so, Aroma Buds and Blossoms is my website where you can get there. It's up under the free trainings tab, my master class.
okay. Okay.
So, the Aroma Buds and Blossoms is my website. But if you go there and go to the free trainings tab, it has the master class, 5 things to consider before using essential oils, which um, I created essentially for social workers and counselors, but it's definitely good for those who are wanting to use essential oils for
Mm-hmm.
health challenges. But because I'm a social worker and in that realm, I have us in mind and how we can utilize it, for ourselves and help our clients because, again, this is hard work.
Yeah.
You pour out your heart in this, and when you're working with folks, you might have that emotional transference going on. You picking up what they bring in, and you
Mm-hmm.
manage a caseload and all the things. And sometimes you need something else out of your toolbox to be able to say, here, perhaps you look into this and
Mm-hmm.
try this as another mode to help with like depression, anxiety, and stress. You know,
Ex- yeah. No, that's perfect. That's a perfect segue. I was actually going to ask you, and I'm sure social workers have a very unique, um, just experience in terms of the type of work, because it's hard work. And
yes.
you can deal with a lot of situations that can be taxing. And then even in other professions, you have a lot of interactions with people, and you're managing stress and then sometimes even anxiety. So are there, or I guess, what are the most effective essential oils for helping people manage stresses and anxiety?
So good question. And so there are some essential oils that help uplift your mood, like your
Hmm.
citrus essential oils, right?
Yes.
Like your lemon or your orange. Um, but even that, uh, having said that, it's helpful to talk to an aromatherapist too to
Hmm.
see if that's a particular. How do you plan to use that essential oil, and
Hmm.
what um, what might be going on with you, for
Hmm.
example, and what I would call an assessment. An assessment to find out, okay, you would like to use an essential oil for stress, but also let them see what you may be going through in your personal health life to see if that's an essential oil that is best for you.
Correct. Correct.
So I always encourage that if that's something that you are looking into. I like
Hmm.
to, of course, share information, but I always like to give the preference. Safety is always key with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
So if nothing else, if you don't want to work with aromatherapist, I encourage you to watch my free masterclass, because at least at the very basic, it gives you that foundation to say,
Yeah.
okay, I want a essential oil to, like you mentioned, for stress or whatever the case might be. Then you want to be able to make that selection, make an informed decision.
Yes.
That's what it's about. Make an informed decision. And having gone through the master class, you will be able to have resources to
Hmm.
make an informed decision. The foundation, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
To make an
Hmm.
informed decision.
No, that's excellent. That's excellent. And I did update the link at the bottom. I believe the link to the master class is aromabudsandblossoms.com. So that will
Yeah.
take you to the free aromatherapy master class that she has available. The information is there
Yeah.
for us to use, as access it, and make sure that we know exactly what we're doing when we're using, essential oils. It's so important. That's so
Yeah.
important.
It is.
I got another question. I guess how would someone who's, I guess, if you're going through a master class and you have an understanding, just a general baseline understanding of aromatherapy, what are some of the ways that you can incorporate it into your daily self care routine? Uh, I know for me, I'll use it through, maybe some meditation or something along those lines. Just kind of get me in a nice flow and a nice groove. But what are some of the ways that you can incorporate it on a daily basis?
Oh, good question. So I want to ask you a question first. How do you do it with your meditation?
I go like this. Ain't no diffusing. Like here, slap it a couple times like some old some brute. Remember the cologne?
Yep, yep, yep. I remember that.
Smell it. Yeah, smell it, and I sit down.
Awesome. So thank you. And that's why I wanted to ask you. So there are some ways that you can utilize essential oils, and that is one of the most simple ways, which you mentioned, is through inhalation, right? Taking one drop of that essential oil, placing it in your hand, rubbing it, and just, taking
Mhm.
taking it in, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, if you have it on your hands and depending on the oil, don't touch your face and your eyes because it can burn.
Hmm. Hmm.
But inhalation is one. You mentioned about doing it in your hand, and of course, diffusing. I don't know about you, but I got my diffuser going.
There we go. Which is awesome for for me. I like to keep it in my living room, if a place I want to do some yoga. But also, I remember using it in the office space, right? I mean, just to kind
Mm.
of keep my area, in a nice way. Can you talk about that as well? Like,
Yes,
different.
thank you. I was just
Yeah.
going into that. So having a diffuser, there's so many ways to have a diffuser either in your space, like I have a water diffuser now, like you have in your
Hmm.
office, your bedroom, um, something you always have there. You just, add your drops to the water and you're good to go. But diffusing doesn't have to be in one space. I talk about how you can have a diffuser on the go.
Hmm.
Um, you know, in this season that I said, came out of, so to speak, I used to talk about having a diffuser on your mask. And if you wear a mask when you have to go into some place now, because certain facilities do, like if you might go in a facility with seniors or the hospital, they may still have you to have a mask, right?
Hmm.
And so you can take one drop of one of my go-to is lemon essential oil. Put one drop on
Yeah.
each side of your mask.
Uh,
So that's a through one way through inhalation, incorporate it into your everyday, and also getting
hmm.
the effects of the essential oil. I mentioned, unfortunately, this is sort of one-sided for ladies
Okay.
to use it on a cotton ball. So put one or two drops on a cotton ball, essential oil of your choosing, and place it in your brassiere. And that helps you to have that aromatherapy throughout the day,
Hmm.
um, on the go. Um,
Hmm.
they have diffusers for your car nowadays. You can create your own. Have talked about that. Putting essential oils on a clothespin, something simple. Remember the wood, the wooden clothespin.
Hmm. Hmm.
You dry your
Yeah.
clothes. Yeah,
Yeah.
putting
Yeah.
essential oils on a clothespin and putting it in your vent. Um,
Oh,
of
I
your
never thought
car.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
a few ways that you can have essential aromatherapy on the go. That's just one way you can utilize them in a. I talk about 5 ways in general in the master class, so you can utilize them. One being what we talked about earlier is in a bath, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but you also need to know how to mix it, because just dumping the essential oil in the bathtub don't work.
Okay. Okay. Talk about it. What will be? Do you need like a carrier for that, or do you?
Exact. Thank you.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I was going to say, you definitely have to have a carrier to go along with that. Otherwise, you still have to mix it up even when you get in the bath. Because again, essential oils have a tendency to rise to the top because we're talking about oil and water.
Correct.
So yeah, having a carrier so you can utilize them in a bath. You can utilize essential oils topically, making your own DIY, maybe lotions or body
Yeah.
butters and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So topically through inhalation. Um, what else? A couple other ways it's not coming to me. Oh, making your own sort of spritzers.
Yeah.
Um, and what else? So those are like some common basic ways you would
Yeah.
utilize essential oils and aromatherapy. But yeah.
It's beautiful because I started using I would just get some distilled water
Mm-hmm.
and some lemon,
Uh-huh.
and I would use that and maybe some vinegar for cleaning, or as a
Mm,
cleaning solution,
yes.
right? Just to, because
Yes.
I remember growing up and there was some of the cleaning solutions we had. I was like, look, I don't know this is good. If we should still be using some of this stuff, the comment that you put in the bathtub. Like I was like, look, there's got to be a different way. Like I know I'm inhaling these fumes, this chalky stuff. There's got to
Yeah.
be a different way. So just using something simple like, with it lemon, distilled water, and some vinegar, just little natural alternatives to
Yeah.
cleaning with that. So that
I'm
was one
glad
of the
you
ways.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another thing you talk about, the comment. So you can just simply use baking soda.
How about that?
The same sort of abrasive
Correct.
you're looking for, and you
Mm-hmm.
can add essential oils to that.
Yeah.
Someone recently was sharing with me about, I got these old essential oils. Sometimes, essential oils do go. That's another thing. Thank you. Misconceptions that essential oils don't go bad, but yes, they do. They
Okay.
can. So if you have them on the shelf, they do have a shelf life. But if you have some old essential oils, someone was asking me, what do I do with all this stuff? This is old and don't smell good and stuff. My suggestion was just my suggestion. It is plant and it's plant life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest that you use it in your cleaning products,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Why not? It's particularly like, for example, if you're cleaning your face bowl or your
Mm-hmm.
commode,
Yeah.
um, you can add some baking soda and put that essential oil in there. You got a clean smelling face
There
bowl
you go.
and bathroom, but
Mm-hmm.
you didn't necessarily use it for therapeutic properties because it's gotten old,
Correct.
but you were able to utilize it in a different way for the aroma. So
Yeah.
one way of not wasting it and giving it back to Mother Earth who gave it to you in the first place.
That's right. That's right. And it's not harming you. It's not a toxin.
Right.
It's not a toxin. In some ways, it can release tonic chemicals in your body, and you end up feeling good. You up there cleaning, laughing, smiling, giggling, having a good time,
Yeah.
enjoying it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as you use an essential oil that you know that you can utilize and
Yeah.
that you was utilizing in the first place for therapeutic properties, and it just happens to go old, grow,
Yeah.
get old. So yeah, that would be my suggestion.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Another way that I've used it in terms of hair,
Ah,
for my locks is like a spritz as a refresher. Can you talk about some of the essential oils that are good for promoting, healthy hair growth and all that other stuff?
yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. So I have a one of my besties, as I call her, my BCB, book chapter and verse.
I like that. I like
Yes.
that.
Um, she has locks as well,
Hmm.
and she was talking about using rosemary in water.
Yeah. Yeah.
That helps with hair growth
Hmm.
and what have you. So yes, utilizing essential oils in that way, or giving yourself a hair treatment. We're using clary sage and rosemary together.
Clary sage. Okay. Okay.
But um, again, making sure that there's one that you could use.
That's the key, right? Doing the research before. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So that's a couple of essential oils that I have utilized and or have seen true testament to how it can be beneficial for you.
Hmm. That's a great point because I don't think in speaking for myself, taking consideration. So if I go and buy a lock spritz or something for my hair, I'm not going back and doing all the research to figure out if that's something, and it can have essential oils in it.
Right.
I'm not doing the research to figure out if that's something that I should be using, right?
Mm.
But I'll go to I'll look and see the reviews, and other people will say, hey, it worked well on their hair, but I don't know if that's good for me.
And,
I don't know if it's good for me.
right. And just along those lines, like we were having this conversation about chemicals, period, in products.
Correct.
You
Correct.
know, um, we don't know some of the chemicals, what the chemicals in our products and in our foods
Mm-hmm.
is beneficial for us or not, right?
Yeah.
But like I was sharing with you that environmental working group,
Oh yeah. Yep. I'll place
uh,
that on them.
um, they I had an opportunity, and we'll go back a little bit. I had an opportunity to go to a weekend retreat, another weekend retreat, talking about health. And
Mm-hmm.
we were sitting around in this room, and this lady started talking about um, a topic was more than skin deep.
Okay.
And she was talking about all the research that has been found to talk about the synthetic chemicals in our products. And she also went on later to talk about our foods. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting there and I'm like, that was my first time that it sort of an epiphany went off, or a light bulb that went off across over my head to say, wait a minute, I have never sat down to think about that some of the stuff that I'm using could be harming me as opposed to helping me,
Oh yeah.
you know, and and just to give you a little bit of background, it was she had pulled the information out. It was talking about it is estimated over 100,000 synthetic chemicals used in U.S. and less than 10% have been tested for safety.
Less than 10%.
Less than 10% for safety.
Wow.
And and what it says, and even if they are found to be dangerous, except for a very few exceptions, they can still be used in cosmetics, body care, and cleaning products.
Wow. Mm.
And it goes on to say laws in the U.S. protect the manufacturers and sellers, not the consumers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, this was a number of years ago, but I'm wondering how much of that information has changed.
Yeah. It still could be topical today. Yeah.
And that being said, if you go to the ewg.org website, the screening across, it will share with you products that have, like you type in your product and it'll share with you on a scale, so to speak, of their rating, whatever it
Mm.
is that you're typing in. For example, be it your makeup, then lotions, any sort of cosmetic products, body products. And I find it to be very invaluable. So if you're on the borderline, well, I like this, I want to keep using this. Okay.
Yeah. Just find out.
At least find out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What are your risks? Or because our skin is our largest organ and we absorb
That's right.
what we put on our skin. So wouldn't it be advantageous for you to at least say,
Yeah.
okay, make an informed decision. Like, oh, okay, I want to use this, but no, your risk. Put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Without, without just putting it on blindly and saying, I'm just going to use this and so be it.
Exactly. 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 Making an informed decision. Making an informed decision. We're no longer on autopilot or doing things because that's the way we've always done it. Now we have access to information and understand what we're putting not just on our bodies and in our bodies and in our minds as well, right? So it all comes
Right.
together.
Right. Absolutely. So it's to your advantage to do that. Um, and with anything, and just for example, um, another article I was reading about, I don't know if you've ever heard of Doctor, blackdoctor.org.
No, I haven't.
And so they recently put out an article, and they were talking about this same conversation
Mm-hmm.
about chemicals, and they talk about um, advises avoiding dirty dozen toxic chemicals in skincare listed in National Geographic's Green Guide. Now that one was new to me.
Mm.
National Geographic's Green Guide.
National
And
Geographic's Green Guide. Okay.
yeah, and so the things that they talked about that Is that including formaldehyde, hydroquinone, mercury, lead, parabens. I had been hearing about parabens a long time ago, but didn't really realize what they meant. And so, what about coal tar and petroleum? What else is there? Some word I can't pronounce right now.
It's all good.
But the first part of it says DIE. I'm like, well, that almost turned me off already. It said
Yeah.
DIETHNOLA, diethylanolamine, or whatever the case
Mm.
might be. But that being said, when you have stuff that has words in it that you can't even pronounce, or maybe it's just me.
No, it ain't just you. That stuff that been cooked up in the lab too.
So you can't pronounce it or readily.
Yeah.
It might, you just might want to think about,
Yeah.
this might not be for me, and putting on my largest organ and I'm absorbing it, you know.
Yeah. Hmm.
So,
At least find out, right? Find out about it. This conversation brings me back to I remember growing up, and I used to watch my mom put a perm in her hair. Right? She get a perm and she
mm,
put the perm in. My mom had
mhm.
beautiful, long, beautiful hair. I used to remember that and the smell of the lye. And then I remember actually me and my brother. There was a time, I guess, in the 80s and 90s, we used to get like the guy used to get a Duke or a S curl. You remember the Dukes and the S curls?
Yes, sir.
Right? You have a box with an S curl on it. Get you some waves or something or some curls. Oh man. But that stuff was poison. That stuff was poison. I believe there was like a class action suit against manufacturers that were creating these different types of products that were causing Black women specifically harm, like different types of disease from
Yeah.
these products.
Yes, I remember the days of doing the perm thing, and it's like, no. When you learn better, you do better, right? And just, uh, just in that same conversation I was having with someone within the last 2 weeks, and they had kidney problems.
Hmm.
They're in the cosmetic industry. They are found out all the chemicals and things that they were doing for themselves was affecting and were not good for their body. So they actually had to have a kidney removed.
Wow. Wow.
So was it all 100% that? Maybe not. I don't know her medical condition, but just what she shared with me, I was like, wow. And for her to
Mm-hmm.
come to that epiphany, and she's in that industry, it makes you wonder.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder. It's just something to be mindful of.
Yeah.
Just something to be mindful of. Um,
Mm.
and I get it. You want to look a certain way, be a certain way, or what have you, but just make conscious decisions.
That's
That's all.
right.
And if you don't know, you don't realize that you may be hurting yourself with some of the things that you're putting on your body, in addition to in your body.
Hmm. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. In preparing for this conversation, I was doing some research and I came across a McKinsey article, and the
Ooh,
article was talking about the new face of beauty.
okay.
And they go into a really deep dive into the cosmetic industry.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're finding is that currently the industry is about this was done maybe in 2023, actually, last year. So the industry overall is about $427 billion globally, right? What they're finding is the industry going to grow to about $580 billion. But what's happening is this mass convergence of the wellness industry and the beauty products industry coming together because people want to not just look good, but also feel good. And
Mm-hmm.
so we know that wellness industry, that's about a $1.5 trillion business, right? And so you're going to really start seeing more and more of this mass convergence of these products showing up in places where maybe it's a wellness retreat. It could be, a cruise, whatever the case may be. But the understanding, having that, being an informed being, right? An
Yeah.
informed being to know that, hey, it could be in a situation, in a place. And I don't think wellness retreats, I would hope they would do the due diligence to make sure that, the products aren't harmful for people, but each person is different, right? We all have different, health conditions. So I
Yeah.
find it quite interesting how it's coming together, that we have to be very mindful of how that shows up in our day-to-day life.
Absolutely. And, if that's a concern for you, maybe start thinking about being a DIYer. Do it
Yeah.
yourself.
Come on, yeah.
Um, and that's one of the videos I have on my channel, teaching you how just something simple as making a lip balm, a moisturizer for your lips.
Mm-hmm.
You don't necessarily have to go out and purchase the ingredients, yeah, but you don't necessarily have to purchase a product. And why not try to make your own products
Yeah.
that suits you?
Yeah.
Um, so and to be honest, it's cost to me is more cost effective.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. 1,000% more.
So
1,000% more.
you
1,000%.
know, make the batch or whatever you make it, put it in a cold place, refrigerator or something, and keep it and go from there.
That's
So,
right.
thinking about body butter offhand, but you make your own soaps,
Yeah. I was
No,
thinking about the same thing when you said that. I was thinking about like I used to always go and buy, these custom soaps, the little, Lush and all that other stuff. And I went on YouTube, I found the same recipes and made it myself, and it was a lot cheaper and it lasted a lot longer.
yeah, you can
Yeah.
make it to how you want it to be. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do it yourself. Do it yourself. Yeah, it's an interesting time how everything is starting to come together. But I think it's a good thing, right? Where we're becoming more aware of wanting to not just look good, but to feel good, right? Beautiful on the inside and on the out.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. And like you mentioned, we have more information. We can tap into so much more information nowadays than we were before that could help us. So, um, I know everybody may not have access to the internet and what have you, but we do.
Hmm.
We definitely have access to a lot of information, and it's almost like just look it up, look it up, you
That's
know.
it.
And YouTube University have about some of everything. Of course, you have to do some fact finding sometimes behind some of that stuff, but
Hmm.
it's a place to start.
Yes, indeed. And if you want to know, there's a way to find it out. What are some of the references and I guess resources that you would recommend? I know you gave us the ewg.org, and of course your free masterclass. I encourage everybody to take advantage of that. She's been a aromatherapist for a long time, invested a lot of times, and she used it on herself, right? She started with herself, healed herself first. So probably if it's good enough for her, right? And it's working for her and giving her benefits in her life, what a
Yeah.
blessing it is to be a recipient of the gifts that she's sharing through experience. So definitely you can check out her website. Are there any other resources that you would recommend?
Um, Definitely books. I'm a reader, and everybody else may not be or interested in reading, but I encourage you to check out Dr. Joel Wallach.
Okay.
And I say that
Yep.
because he I was introduced to him through a company. For this transparency, I am associated with his company, Longevity, but I was associated with the man before I even knew about the company.
Mm,
And I say that because I was attracted to his idea
okay.
of health. And
Yeah.
one of the books that he wrote, I think it's controversial, but he won is it a Pulitzer Prize for or whatever, a Nobel Peace Prize for me? But it's called Dead Doctors Don't Lie.
Mm-mm. Wow.
Controversial, but baby, it tells you about a number of things that you didn't even consider about the medical industry and you. I'll just put it that way.
Mm.
And from that, he has a number of other books. And that's the link across the screen that I offer you to look up his books. I don't know if there's something you can put in the description for them to just
Hmm.
click on. But he has a number of other books, one being Passport to Aromatherapy. So I learned about aromatherapy for him as well.
Okay.
I have a number of books behind me. Epigenetics is one of his books.
Oh, wow.
What else do I have? Can't readily call nutrition. Is it this guide to nutrition book or immortality? I love this book too. But I'm just saying that to say, yeah, this is one of his books too. Immorality.
Immorality. There we go.
Yes. But that link would, if you go to that link, it'll show you all his books. But I'm saying that to say he has a lot of information that helps you um, talk about where he talks about what he's found, as because he was also a veterinarian,
Hmm.
um, where he did a number of studies on animals. And if you know anything about that, doing autopsies or studies on animals can translate to human
Hmm.
conditions. Because I don't know if you knew, but I didn't know until recent years that dogs have the same sort of conditions that we do,
I
and
didn't
take
know.
and take similar. I don't know if the exact same medication, but they have similar conditions that adults do. But
Wow.
this doctor is sharing information about that, and what you need to know. One of his popular books is Black Gene Lies. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No, what is that quote?
Black Gene, Gene,
Mm-hmm.
Lies.
Okay.
And
Okay.
he was commissioned by a local, I want to say local, a pastor. The pastor's daughter was having a condition for which the medical community was sort of writing her off, so to speak. And this gentleman, pastor, called in Dr. Wallach, was able to um, cure, help whatever the condition was, and this pastor funded Dr. Wallach to write this book.
Oh, wow.
So, and in the book Black Gene Lies, it talks about how some of the conditions that we've been said that is hereditary might not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily just be hereditary, or so to speak, or there may be certain medical terminology that's
Yeah.
associated between different cultures or different ethnic backgrounds that you need, that are very beneficial to know about.
Wow. I'm just reading the kind of just, overview of, and then I want to share this. So it's called
Yeah.
Black Gene Lies, Slave Quarter Cures. And it says
Hmm.
it's a landmark expose that shows that the diseases of Black population in America, which the medical community attributes to a quote unquote terrible Black gene, are in fact caused by regional and cultural eating habits and nutritional deficiencies of trace elements that are easily, safely, and economically overcome by the use of simple nutritional supplement program and herbal remedies. It's so funny because you do hear. I remember growing up, these different type of genes and all that. That this is way before epigenetics,
Hmm.
way before epigenetics. You just almost felt like it was fatal, like it was deterministic, right? Like,
Right.
oh, you got the gene and you're going to have this expression of the gene. But no, I have to check this out. This is powerful.
Yeah. He had another book I like. Let's Play Doctor. What is another one? Rare Earth Cures. Um,
Mm,
just a gamut of books about information that you should be aware of, or how to help yourself. There's an expression that I heard a long time ago, Brother Andre, that said, if you want to hide something from people, you do what?
put in the book.
And I don't know about you, but I feel like the library card is the best free thing out on the earth. So if I can get some information that's
Come
gonna help
on.
me, and nowadays I can just sit here and type it up, you know,
Mm,
you
wow.
know, it, the information from this doctor has been invaluable, and has also, I feel, attributed to me being able to be in a space where I feel comfortable enough to do the things I can do for myself,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm grateful for the work that he's done, and you know the information that he's put out there is readily available for us. All we got to do is read it and apply it,
That's right.
and see what works for you.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Wow. This has been very illuminating. Very illuminating. I didn't there's a lot of things that I wasn't aware of prior to this conversation. One, beginning with the fact that, you got to do your research, even, on the essential oils, to make sure it's right for you.
Hmm.
The way it's kind of presented in many respects is that it's natural, right? Thereby, in my mind, at least, I would say both, because it's from the earth. That means it's probably safe, but not necessarily for me, right? For my constitution, for my body. And so
Right.
to do the research and to know that there's actually, there's resources out there. They're like the environmental working group that we can actually tap into, and just to see before we start using a product, what's in it and is it good for me,
Hmm.
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It seems so. It's it, that now that you say it, it's so common sense, right? But to not have the to not have those resources, it was just like it didn't even cross my mind to go to a website and check that out. I know athletes have to do that. Like if you're a professional athlete and you're
Okay.
taking a supplement,
Okay.
that supplement could be on a banned list. Therefore,
Mhm.
you have to do the research to figure out what's in it, and are the ingredients banned. But something as important as our health, we should take that same level of consideration, right?
Absolutely, for sure.
Mhm.
Why not? We put a lot of effort into some things that aren't as germane as our health. Okay.
Correct.
Then I would think that you might want to do due diligence, particularly, and even particularly if you have health challenges,
Correct.
right? It's like, okay, what is it in my life that's going on, and what am I doing? It might not be it, but you might be born with something. I get that. But if it's something, do an examination, if you will, of, okay, how am I feeling? Do I have stress in my life? What foods am I eating? And let's not discount how certain foods can cause certain reactions in our body and moods.
Yes. Yes.
When I found that out, I was like, ooh, okay.
Hmm.
Certain foods can have you off kilter
Yeah.
by the processing of them.
Correct.
you know so it's just as important to think about those things and things you put in your body and outside your body to see if it's beneficial for you. That being said, I heard a long time ago, they were talking about, it was an article, um, what is her name? I think I wrote it down here. Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson, she had did a study,
Hmm.
and she was talking about two common things that we put in our body that is detrimental for our, if you want to trying to release weight, or trying to improve your health, and those two things being sugar and flour.
Yeah.
Sugar and flour, just two. She just said two.
Them too. Them too. Hmm.
And she talked about how it's not just the flour itself, but the processing of it. The processing of it, by the time it gets to you and on the shelf, it's gone through some things, and it might not be the best for your system.
Yeah. Your body can't metabolize it. It doesn't know. Yeah. All the nutrients is. Yeah.
it, and if you think about it in a way, what is flour for the most part? And I know flour is made with different things. There are different types of flour, but basic flour, gluten flour, and wheat flour. When you put those two together, you get what? Glue.
Mm.
You remember when you're growing up, you in science class, or if you didn't have no glue, you go in the kitchen and make you some.
Yeah, that's right. You couldn't get the Elmer's. You got to go get your. Yeah, that's right. Make
We
it at
always have,
home.
exactly
That's right. You're
same
right.
concept. You mixing that
Wow.
stuff in your body, it's glue.
Yeah, you
And
putting
if you're
glue in your
not,
body. Glue.
yes, and if you're not sure, particularly wheat flour, see if it's something that you might be allergic to. You might be thinking, okay, it's something I've always eaten. Yeah,
Mm.
but is this something that's always been good for you? Or it could be
Yeah.
the change in the way that they make it nowadays. Because true enough,
Correct.
some of our ancestors ate what they wanted to eat, but I believe there was different conditions and different ways they were growing stuff that nowadays is processed. It
Hmm.
it ain't the same.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's not the
It's not.
same.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. Ingredients are different. A couple weeks ago, I had someone who's an Ayurveda teacher,
Uh-huh.
and she was talking about just the seasons, eating differently during the seasons, and we were and that transition from winter into spring. And she said, you may want to consider moving from heavier stews,
Right.
right, into more lighter vegetables, right? And
Mhm.
it's just that simple transition, local, right? If
Uh-huh.
it's available to you, more
Yes. Yes.
lighter, locally produced fruits and vegetables as opposed to the heavier stews, and it makes sense. All that
Yes.
stuff makes sense because our bodies are constantly changing. Things around us are constantly changing, and if we don't make adjustments to get back into balance or remain in balance, then we start to have this discomfort and disease. So all of that, it makes sense.
It does. It
It makes
does.
sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I know growing up, we didn't think about the foods that we're eating, and we were just trying to eat, and your
You
family was trying to feed you.
doing the
Okay.
best they could. Yes, absolutely.
I get
Absolutely.
that. I
Yeah.
get that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
as you mature and it may start causing you problems, then
Yeah.
you'll consider, um, you want to consider changing or doing something a little different, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. That's it. That is it. Wow, that was some powerful information.
Uh,
Dr. Was it Susan Pierce? Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson.
Thompson, yes.
Yes, founder and CEO of Bright Line Eating.
Mm,
That is one reference, and which was fantastic. The other gentleman that you referenced as well, Dr. Wallach,
uh-huh.
Dr. Joel Wallach. I mean, if you get a chance, check those books out. I can't wait to dive into that. I mean, he's talking about epigenetics. I know Bruce Lipton, also one of the godfathers of epigenetics. I mean, just to hear it from a cultural perspective as well, right?
Yes,
That hits a little different.
it does.
That hits a little different.
And for our community, I would definitely start with Black Gene Lies, and or if not, start with Dead Doctors Don't Lie. That's how I was introduced to his work, starting with Dead Doctors Don't Lie. And he might even have it online, or used to be able to listen to it online, but I know there's a CD with it as well. But yeah, it's invaluable. I'll just put it that way. The information
Hmm.
he offers is invaluable, and he's been recognized for it nationally. He really
Wow.
had, and not to mention, he was one of the doctors that went up against the FDA. Who does that?
Right, right. Wow.
Um, go went up to FDA with putting certain nutrients in baby foods
What?
to make it
Yeah.
for as a baby for pregnant, making sure that children have what they need from the start. So look into that.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Look into that. I mean, how many doctors out there are actually doing that? I don't know all, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. Taking it to the FDA. And what's interesting, you talked about that before, less than 1% of the ingredients that are used in some of the products.
You're talking about from the rainforest has been tapped by the
Excuse
rainforest.
me. Yes, yes, less than 1%. And then I think it was another quote that you used. I think it was maybe less than 10% rather of the products.
Oh yes. Less
Mm-hmm.
than 10% have been tested for safety, and
For
even if they are found to be dangerous, except for a very few exceptions, they can still be used. They still can be used in cosmetics, body care, and cleaning products.
yeah,
So there's a
yeah.
level of risks they're willing to take on your life, is what I'm understanding.
Yeah, exactly. Question:
That's
Are we willing to take that same risk?
they're willing to play a little Russian roulette with you. We're just gonna put it out there and see what happens. That
That's it.
that's my impression.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is
It
my impression.
seems to be true. Seems to be true.
Sometimes you have to read behind the lines. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Now,
Yeah.
if this chemical is banned over in other countries, but we still allow it to be in our products, particularly certain white breads or whatever. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then what does that tell you? If other
Yeah.
countries have figured out that this product might not be to your best advantage to eat
Correct.
or consume, but it's okay here. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And get you to thinking. So
It really does. It really does. We have to do our research. We have to be our own best advocates, if you will. Right.
yes, yes. Oh, thank you, Lakeisha Gales.
Yeah, Keisha, thank you so much. Thank you. Got Danny on here. Danny, I gotta say, your people, the people that support you. I mean, they're beautiful, beautiful folks. They show up. You've done an amazing job building a
Oh,
community, and sharing your gift and sharing your wisdom. And I'm super grateful to have this conversation with you, and to learn and to
oh,
learn. So I
oh,
thank you.
absolutely. I'm here for it. I love to share for those who listen. And what I do know, what I don't know, I try to find out. But that is a true passion of mine. I don't, reverence being no gatekeeper to no information that can help somebody.
Hmm. Hmm.
To the best of my ability and knowledge. If I know it or if I come across it and I can share it, then I'm there for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is a passion of yours, and it shows. It shows in your energy. It shows in your deep dive into resources, into information that you can bring back that impact our lives and help us to vibrate and then expand and grow and share and learn and, and all the good things that you have.
Yeah.
So grateful for you. And before we jump off, one of my passions
Uh-huh.
is music. Not that
Okay.
I can play or sing, but I
He said,
love
I think you can play us.
but the fact that I love to listen to good music. And so one of the segments that I have in the conversations is
Uh-huh.
to get your top five. Who, if you had to choose only five,
Oh,
who would be? And you're in Michigan, am I correct?
yes.
Not too far from Detroit.
Not too far. No.
So you sit in the cradle of some really good music. I'm
Yes.
intrigued to hear, who would you put in your top five musicians or groups?
Wow.
Who's Danny running with?
Oh, that's funny. You put me on the spot. So, I am more. I can't say that I listen to a whole genre of music,
Mhm.
but I do. I love my gospel. I love
All
my
right.
my Stevie Wonder.
Oh,
Um,
Stevie.
yes,
Hmm.
and who else might I? Let's see. Most recently, I got this actually from you. I have been looking into it prior to, but didn't have a name for it. But that is Afrobeats.
Oh yeah. Afrobeats. Let's go. It's funny. You're the second person this week. We talked about their top five, and Afrobeats came up. I don't think that would have been the case maybe 10 years ago,
Okay.
5 years. So it's beautiful to see how a whole genre has emerged over time, and now it's people's favorite. It's
Yes,
people's
yes.
favorite. That's dope.
I love to watch it. And forgive me if I'm not saying it correctly, but I love it when you see in wedding ceremonies and what have you, and they're coming out with their Afro beats and they're dancing and what I
Yeah.
don't know if that is what it's called in those situations. So forgive me. I'm
Mm.
still learning too. But it's absolutely beautiful, and I have the coordination of I don't know what, but
It's so funny because that was the conversation this week too. Like, we want to learn how to dance, but we
I say I can, and amongst in my safe space. I don't know about in the public, but it's absolutely beautiful and I love it. I can sit up and watch that all night long. I just
yeah,
absolutely love it. And I'm more mellow too. I like listen to jazz and things are
yeah.
just instrumental. But yeah,
That's
so
good. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So some Stevie,
hmm
some Afro beats,
yeah.
some jazz.
Yeah. Oh, one of my favorite artists is Fantasia too.
Oh
Anything she
yeah,
sings,
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
watch it.
Locked in, locked in.
Don't matter what. Oh, and she did a beautiful. It was a 15-second song, and I know it's part of a larger song. When she got an award recently, I know if you might have seen it. And was it NAACP award? I forgot what it was. Um, but at the end of her speech, she was singing "To God Be the Glory."
Oh wow, oh wow.
She was saying, "To God be the glory, to God be the glory, to God be the glory for all the
But
things He
things
has
you've done.
done in
Hmm.
Fantasia fashion." I wasn't gonna sing it here. I didn't want to offend your audience. But
Don't let her get to taking the shoes off though.
right,
Yeah.
right. When she did that, I was all in. I said, "Baby, you have changed the standard and the bar for accepted speeches, as long as I'm concerned."
You
When
got this.
when she did that little riff and she had
Yeah,
that award in her hand, I'm like, you just set the bar.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, anything
That's
she sings.
that's dope. That's dope. I'm reminded of a video of her. I don't know if you saw it. It's on. You can find it on YouTube. It's with her,
Hmm.
Cayman Kelly from
Okay.
Sirius XM,
Okay.
and Avery Sunshine.
Okay.
And it's Cayman Kelly and Fantasia are just sitting down there talking, and but they got a piano in the room. And so Cayman Kelly calls Avery Sunshine up, and she starts playing Vicky Winans, I believe it is, "Safe in His Arms."
Mm-hmm.
And Fantasia, boy, woof. You talking about powerful? Powerful. The Avery Sunshine absolutely is amazing, and just the gift that she has. And for an artist like Fantasia, who's a singer,
Mm-hmm.
to recognize that gift, it was a beautiful moment. I go back there. It make you want to shout.
Hello. you know, you say she's a singer, and I say she can sing.
Sang.
Some people can sing, but she can
Yeah.
sing. And when we
Flat
say
footed.
that,
Mm-hmm.
when we
Mm-hmm.
say that, we know what we talk. If you know that expression, you know what we're talking about. So when they open their
Mm-hmm.
mouth, you're like, oh, you stand at attention. You know. Wait a minute. And
Let them
people,
use you.
yes, it's like okay now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Fantasia can go. Fantasia can go. From a gospel perspective, real quick, who else you listening to? Who got your ear when you're sitting in the house and maybe you're cleaning or you just want to get a vibe? What kind of music, gospel music, who you going with?
The artist you just named, I can't put her name on it. And when you talk about in his arms,
Vicky Winans.
yeah, we go.
Yeah.
That's one. Who else? I love anything by the Clark
Clark
sisters.
sisters. Yeah. Yeah.
Who else? Off the top of my head, I do listen. Don't you know how when you put on the spot, you can't call nobody's nothing.
And I
But
didn't,
then
I
when
didn't
you,
put you on the spot. As you want to, so give you a chance. One of mine would be Marvin Winans, and I
yeah,
think me and my father share that love and affection for Marvin Winans. Whenever, if I want to hear something, you can go into the Winans in general, right?
yeah,
It's
period,
just
yeah.
just period. Any of the Winans,
Mm-hmm.
any of the Winans. It's a different. It's just a different vibe. I remember before this, they got a song. It's gonna be all right. If I'm
Yeah,
feeling like, yeah, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be okay. You put that song on, it's hope eternal. it shifts your whole mood.
yeah, yep.
Your whole
I'm
mood.
thinking right now of Tamala Man.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I love Kirk. His group, Kirk
Oh yeah.
Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, who else? I love a good soul gospel music.
Yeah. Yeah.
To kind of get you up and shouting your own self,
Mm-hmm.
even if
Mm-hmm.
you only sound good to yourself.
That's it. That's all that matters, really. As long as you hear, you sound good to you, then keep singing.
Absolutely, yes,
Keep
yes.
singing. Yeah, that's medicine for the soul too. Even if you don't sound the best, it's good to lift the vibes with singing and dancing and just feeling good about yourself, feeling good about life. It's therapeutic for me.
Yeah,
Definitely
absolutely. I like
therapeutic.
some R&B. Don't ask me to name nobody.
No, no.
but uh, but yeah, and I can listen to. I try to have. I'll say this. I try to have an open ear to
Mm-hmm.
be it no matter what, because you never know how something may move you to
Yeah.
think about something. And I understand that music is message. It's
Mm-hmm.
messages is in music. So no matter what the music is, I try to have an open ear to
Mm-hmm.
it. And some of the stuff might be a little racy for me
Mm-hmm.
in my
Mm-hmm. Oh
spirit,
yeah.
but I'll try to have an open ear. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always artists out here
Mm-hmm.
creating new sounds, new messages,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
new ways. So I agree. I try to stay open,
Uh-huh.
and hear it,
Mm-hmm.
the new stuff. You in, like I said, you in Detroit, so I'm up here with. I think Gladys is from there, right?
Is she? Don't get
I
me to
think
tell
it's
no
Gladys Knight.
stories.
I think she might be. I should know.
Okay.
I love me. Gladys Knight, one of my favorites.
Is she?
One
Uh-huh.
of my favorites. So I love it. I think of when I think of Detroit, I think of old Motown. When growing up, my parents, that's what they played in the house.
Yeah. We had
Yeah. So.
hometown songs in our
Hmm.
house. That's what my dad used to wake us up to in the morning. we were kids and we didn't want to get out the bed. He put on a record and crank it up, and we got up out the bed then. But but yep, I
That's
remember
it.
growing up on that. And
Yeah.
actually, that was one of the first concerts. One of the first concerts I went to was the Jackson 5. I'm telling my age now, but Jackson 5. And my dad took me and my sister. We was all dressed up in our little dresses,
Hmm.
and down back then, I want to say it was Joe Louis Arena. It's no longer here, but
Oh
yes,
wow.
Jackson 5. I
That's
still
cool. That
remember that.
You saw little Michael. That's
Yeah,
cool.
that was, yes, that was absolutely wonderful.
That's excellent. That is excellent. I looked up Gladys is from Atlanta, Georgia. Forgive me, Miss Gladys. You still my favorite. Absolutely. That is fantastic. Danny, this is a wonderful conversation. It's been a wonderful time. Thank you so much. Thank you for did we lose you? Did we get you? Oh, there we go. Thank you so much for your time, for sharing your wisdom, for your expertise, just for the love in which you present and your passion. I'm grateful for it. Um, so, family, you get a chance, please check out her master class, which is listed on screen below. Pages .aromabudsandblossoms.com. It's a free master class on the essentials for aromatherapy, designed for social workers and counselors, but everyone can
Yeah.
benefit from the information, and I'll include it in the description as well. Before we hop off, my sister, anything else that you would like to share with the family?
Oh, wow. And I want to say kudos to you and your audience and your and the beautiful people that you serve, Brother Andre. Thank you for what you're doing and showing up and sharing your gifts and talents and all that you've learned and bringing here. I always like to, one of my favorite quotes is by the late Maya Angelou, who says, "When you learn, teach.
Yeah.
When you get, give."
Mm.
Right? So I enjoy sharing and doing what I do, and hopefully you get information that is beneficial for you in way that I'm presenting it, or if it's some information you'd like to learn more about. I know I talk a lot about aromatherapy, marrying it to, may get into some more natural health things like we talked about today, but I enjoy being there. And so appreciate everybody watching and who does watch and support and send love. I send that love right back to you 100-fold, and know that you're appreciated. And hopefully the information that you garner from me is something that you not only can apply for yourself, but share with other people.
Yeah.
Help, reach and teach.
Hmm.
Reach and teach so that we all can live a good quality of life, particularly our community.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
We can
know?
see the best of life, the best that
Yeah.
life has.
Yes,
That's what we
absolutely.
want. That's what
Absolutely.
we
So
want.
that would be my parting words. And again, thank you for having me and all that you do.
Thank you so much, my sister. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you once again. So, family, Danny, thank you. Community, thank you. My man Q. Shout out to you, Q. Q's been my homie since we was little boy. I known Q since we was in
Really?
fifth. I think we met was in fifth grade.
Oh,
Fifth
those
grade. So
lasting friendships. Aren't those a
yeah.
blessing? Those are a
Yeah, it's an
blessing.
absolute blessing. So shout out to you, Q. Thank you so much. Lakeisha Gale,
You're
thank you so
welcome.
much. This has been an absolute honor. Soul family. Love you. And remember, if it ain't all good, just means it ain't all done. I'll
All
talk to you
right.
later.
God bless you. I love y'all. Bye bye
Shay,
now.
take care now.